Damn, people! this is pretty funny. I've got it on 1.5 speed, so everybody knows that it's on 1.5 speed. So if they're talking fast like me, I'm on normal speed, but they talk slow, so I got them on 1.5. So everybody knows Polk Judge, Grady Judge. He's pretty funny in here, and this is kind of getting a lot of things that a bunch of Disney employees were in a huge human trafficking. For some reason, I think they're calling prostitution human trafficking now in order to make it seem more egregious and to make the women all victims. So when you hear this term human trafficking and predator, they're switching the words around because they want to make the mean men who pay prostitutes the bad guys, and then the women who go out there and try to get paid and use their body because it's their body, right? They can do what they want with it. No. But they make them victims because, and I know a lot of people are like, well, Rick, what about the pimp? Most prostitutes don't have pimps. Okay? They're independent contractors. They do their own shit. Okay? So this human trafficking and they're all victims. I mean, even in here, it says that the prostitutes said they weren't. He didn't call them prostitutes. The women said they weren't victims, and they had advocates there saying we had to convince them that they were victims because they didn't think they were a victim. Really? Okay, whatever. All right, I'm not a big prostitute kind of enforcement guy. I think it's kind of bullshit. It's gotten warped. It's become crazy. If two consenting adults want to have sex, it's none of my business or government's business. And if one of them wants to buy them dinner to have sex, or one of them wants to just give them cash, to me, it doesn't matter, and it's not a government business. I hated doing prostitute stings. I just didn't like it. I tell that story where we had to arrest that one girl in a wheelchair because she's got no way to make a living. So she's out there selling what she can do, and she's making a living, and we go out there and spend all this taxpayer, put her in a car with a wheelchair, get all kind of complaints, take 2 or 3 of us. She's fighting it. It was a pain in the butt. That's just one of the many incidents where prostitution arrests, to me, are just bullshit. But government's got to get involved in. I mean, they spent a huge amount of money. Now, they did get some good bad guys in this, so don't get me wrong. But let's get this going.
Operations. And we identified one this time that I'll talk about without her name. Many times it takes follow-up investigation by this wonderful team of counselors in order to get there. But let's start with Mr. Finley. Mr. Finley
is follically challenged. Probably would make a good cop. But anyway, I digress.
Is not involved in this from a human trafficking / prostitution operation, but we had a grand slam.
Human trafficking / prostitution. So, again, they're pushing a narrative here that every prostitute is a poor, helpless victim. We keep saying how empowered women are, how smart they are, and then we turn around on this narrative and say women that go out there and use their body for sex and make a good living and are consenting adults, they're too stupid to even know they're a victim, even though they're the poor woman. But all women are empowered and great and perfect. I mean, it's just freaking bullshit.
In that we also found child sex predators. And he's the first child sex predator that we identified.
Now, this is a good pop. This is a good pop to where you're getting guys who are going after kids, trying to meet them and have sex. Anytime you get one of these guys, that's a good day in law enforcement. We're freaking running around, high-fiving, handing out free donuts. Everything's happy when we get pieces of shit out there preying on children. No doubt.
He's 39 years of age. He's a handyman. He's from Mulberry.
Does anybody else, is it just me, that seems like every sex predator ever caught works as a handyman? I mean, it's not only the theme in all the movies, but in real life, it's always they work as a cook at Denny's. They're a cook here. They're a handyman. That's the way it goes. I don't know why.
And he traveled.
Rick, I'm a handyman, and you shouldn't be. And I'm not a sexual predator, and stereotyping is bad. Okay, whatever.
Traveled to our undercover location, thinking he was going to engage a very young child for sex.
Very young child, I think, was 13.
Newsflash, it wasn't a very young child. It was a group of detectives. He's been charged as a result for traveling, for resisting arrest. That's right, he ran from us. He didn't want to go to jail. He had
This guy doesn't look like he run too fast, but I know it's not fair. Maybe he's the fastest guy. I'm just being judgmental. Sorry.
meth. He was also charged with attempted lewd battery at jail.
They say meth?
Result for traveling, for resisting arrest. That's right, he ran from us. He didn't want to go to jail. He had meth. He was also charged with attempted lewd battery and transmission of some very ugly stuff that he thought was going to a 13-year-old child.
Okay, so I don't understand what that is. Was he, when he says transmission, to me, he's kind of saying this guy has either AIDS, hepatitis, gonorrhea. He's got some bad diseases. I think that's what he's implying, but he doesn't want to get into a HIPAA thing by saying it. But I think that's what he's implying. Because he says transmission, it could be he had fentanyl or something and he was going to give her a pill or something. So he wasn't very clear here. And normally when they're not clear, I'm kind of guessing what the hell was really going on.
Wow. So it would have been a grand slam week for all of our resources and efforts if we'd have just gotten Timothy Finley, who thought he was traveling to meet a child. It's pretty nervy if you think about it.
They didn't go over his criminal history. I wish they would have.
He was showing up at the child's residence when he thought mom and dad weren't there.
So, in a lot of these stings, that's kind of what we, if we're going to do a sting like this, we will usually just rent a house or get somebody to volunteer a house that's needed construction or whatever, and we'll all sit inside, set up the cameras, and do all our shit, and just, have our we had guys we had some really good guys that would just go out there, and within seconds, they would get a hit. We would literally bring these guys to not PTA, I don't know what they call, like school meetings with the parents, and we would put up a screen and go online and show that we could get a hit of some adult trying to pick us up within 10 minutes live in front of the people. We would just sit there and go, I'm 13, I'm looking for a good time. And then boom, 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 boom. And we had adults hitting trying to freaking meet. So this isn't that hard. And I think these are great operations. When you make it hard for predators that they think everybody's a cop that they do it to, it makes it harder for them to do their crime. So these operations, I think, are critical and good. A lot of people you say, man, what kind of job is that? You're a cop, you just sit around on a computer and try to trick people to come pick up little kids. That's a good day. Sorry.
But he wasn't alone. Then there's Shannon Johnson. He's 41.
This guy's got some hair problems, too. What's up with that?
He's from Orlando. It's interesting, the Orlando stations aren't here today. They should be, because they got a lot of these problems over in Orlando.
He just slammed. That was a dig on Orlando. I'm assuming Orlando doesn't cooperate with him or doesn't work with him, or he thinks they're freaking left wing or something, because that was a slam.
And the community over there needs to be made aware of it. He thought he was communicating with a 13-year-old child. He wanted to be her daddy. He wanted to have different kinds of sex with what he thought was a 13-year-old child. He works at a warehouse. He was charged with traveling, attempted lewd battery, transmission of photos of himself, nude photos, you know what I mean?
That's always great evidence. When you act like a little kid and you get them to send you like videos or pictures, or that's a great hook. See, these kind of things are good. When I get these mysterious, because being a child predator is like a piranha. You can accuse anybody of being a child predator with little or no evidence, and you ruin their reputation and credibility. And government does that a lot to people. I thought that crooked DA was going to try and do that to me because I was working child porn, and I had child porn on my computers because I would be reviewing things and setting up things. And I thought for sure that weasel, Jeff Reisig, YOLO DA, was going to try and discredit me by saying they found child porn on my computer and not saying that I was actually working child porn cases and was arresting, and I was a computer forensic guy for child porn. And he would just say, we're doing an investigation on him for child porn. I was so expecting that to hit them because he was doing everything to try and discredit me because I turned him in because he was trying to hide evidence on a death penalty case. And he's still a freaking DA. And it just amazes me on how the system protects these freaking crooks. But I digress. Anyway, that is the kiss of death. When you got evidence like this of a guy showing up, texting, and sending pictures of himself, That's a lot of evidence. That's not some superficial, we're doing an investigation and we found child porn on his computer, but we can't talk about it. That's a setup. That's kind of a discredit move, meaning some people will believe it and we put it out there and it's hard to defend against a negative. You know, I mean, let's say somebody accuses me or you of being a child predator. How do you prove you're not? You can't like show, hey man, I got my computer, there's no pictures of me. Hey, where's the text of me? Hey, they got no evidence. It's just, some people are so visceral. I mean, I even did a video on it. I mean, they just want people hung up, even though they're a sexual registrant, because they're 17 and had sex with a 16-year-old, and now they're a sexual registrant. And there's people that literally want to kill them and think it would be okay if we beat them up and kill them. And I'm like, dude, don't put your trust in what government tells you unless government can prove the case. And when government starts using things like an ongoing investigation and we can't talk about it, that's all flag words that they're freaking lying, because they talk about everything. Do you see Grady saying, I can't show the guy's name because it's an ongoing investigation? No. So he has credibility. All right, I digress.
And he didn't have any children himself, but he wanted to play this game of daddy. That's right. He has a criminal history.
These are the guys that were the hardest not to punch in the face and use your power as a cop to kind of beat the shit out of them or give them an elbow or make them trip down the stairs. These were the most tasking guys for me to deal with and try to remain non-tyrannical government thing. Because as a private person, I would want to do all that and I wouldn't care. But as a cop, I had to go, you know what? It's just not right. And we can't do it. And even if your buddy did it, it's like, dude, can't do it. All right.
And when we arrested him, he said, you got me. You're right. We got him. So if we'd arrested 2 child predators, that would have been a grand slam week.
That is a good day.
But we got another one. This guy's from Gainesville. He's employed in construction. He did
construction. Damn. I thought those guys had to be a doctor. His mom came on and said he was just about to enter doctor school before this happened. Guaranteed. Mom will be out there crying. He was a good boy.
not travel, but he communicated with what he thought was a 14-year-old child online and said, don't tell the cops. And
those are great statements. When you're working these cases, when somebody tells you, make sure your cops aren't there, don't talk to the cops, those are all premeditated and shows that you know a consciousness of guilt that you are actually committing a crime and it's illegal. You can't claim, I didn't know it was illegal. I didn't know she was 13. I was just going to meet her. I was trying to protect her so she wouldn't meet with anybody else. So, but when they make statements like that, that blows what the defense attorney is going to come up with.
And then he sent videos and stills of himself doing things an adult should never do in the presence of a child.
Notice how he corrected it. Should never do in the presence of a child. He's talking about, the your mom caught you thing. What anyway?
Or publicly, or recorded for public consumption. Nasty stuff. Rose here, Jody Rose, is a nasty, nasty guy. He's 36 years old. So we traveled to Gainesville to get him. We had the Alachua Sheriff's Office.
I want to point out here, because the media makes so much about color, and color is always an issue with everything, especially if a black victim or somebody that appears to be a black victim. You will not see any white people defending this guy because he's white. You won't see people tearing down and looting and burning down the streets saying, man, he's just white, it's not fair, and he's being picked on because of his color. You just don't see that shit. You only see that when it involves Black Lives Matter. Because it just amazes me how the black community is always claiming about how great we are and how wonderful we are, and they always want to use this unity of our people, our people, our people, and then they defend criminals like they're their brother. And you don't see that in you don't see Asian people out there defending Asians when they commit horrendous crimes. You don't see white people out there you see all kind of black people come out when black people get caught committing crimes. But I digress. Notice all these guys are white. So somebody, man, you're racist. I got no problem with getting people off the street. Like I said, I don't like predators. I don't care if they're white or black or Asian or pink, purple or whatever. I don't care. But it's funny how you don't see anybody on the race that supposedly is so racist. The white people, the biggest racist, the biggest threat, according to Joe Biden, to our country is white people. You don't see them defending shit like this. But media don't want to cover that.
Office traveled for us to get him. When we arrested him, he said, it's just a misunderstanding. Maybe a misunderstanding on his part. It's not a misunderstanding on our part. He was sending nasty videos and photographs to children. No criminal history up until now, but now he's got 11 felony charges. So he made up.
No criminal history. Who thinks, raise your hand if you think this is the first time this guy did this. Raise your hand. He just got caught. Really unlucky. Poor guy. Poor guy. He was out there trying to make a living, about to go to doctor school. First time he does this, he gets caught. He's not a predator. He had a bad night. He was drinking. He was under the influence of drugs. Somebody influenced. All these freaking excuses. Tough shit. How about that?
No criminal history up until now, but now he's got 11 felony charges. So he made up for lost time with his arrest. That would have been a grand slam if we'd only gotten 3. Then there's Xavier Jackson.
Oh, shit. I just said it. They were all white guys. See, Rick, you're just picking on him, man. It's not his fault. You're just picking on him because he's black, and that's bullshit, man. He's just promoting a stereotype. Judge Grady's a racist. Hey, freaking idiots out there believing that shit.
He's 27. He thought he was chatting with a 14-year-old, and he sent photos of himself doing things that's totally inappropriate. He did not travel. So once again, the Orange County Sheriff's Office assisted us, and because he's from Orlando, and traveled to arrest him, where he was charged with 3 counts of harmful material and 1 count of unlawful communication. Oh.
Okay, since they only got him for 3 counts of material and communication, that means he contacted and he sent photos. He didn't do any of the other overt acts to complete this. I don't know why they're not charging these guys with conspiracy to commit some serious felonies, because these guys are all conspiring. It's 2 or more people, and he's communicating and agreeing to meet. And I mean, I'm not sure. I don't know what their conspiracy laws are, but I would be charging them with conspiracy to commit rape, conspiracy to rape a minor, conspiracy to, I would be stacking on a lot more felonies. Rick, that's not fair. Okay, whatever.
Oh, did I mention that he just happens to be a lifeguard at the Polynesian Resort?
Man, he's a lifeguard where kids are at. Perfect.
For Disney. You think there's a few children?
I wonder if he got the job because of his qualifications or for some other reason. We don't know, because we have other reasons to give people jobs versus qualifications. So that's why you can ask that question.
Around there? That's right. I didn't stutter. He was a lifeguard at the Polynesian Resort for Disney and was bragging about that.
Disney. Man, Disney's getting some bad heat on this.
So we were able to arrest 4 predators in this operation. This is huge. 4 arrests of this magnitude in a week is simply remarkable. But let's move on. These guys weren't predators, but they all have something in common with the last arrest. They work for Disney. So you have Wilkinson Fidel. He's 24. He lives in Orlando. He thought he was coming for sex. He's been a Disney employee for 4 years, and he works at the Cosmic Restaurant.
Man, we got some diversity in this arrest, don't we? I wonder what the left's going to try and come up with why this is somehow racist because of all the diversity. I wonder how this will be.
In Tomorrowland, except now he is in the county jail if he hasn't made bond yet. And then there's Shahab Malav. He's 27. He's a software developer for Disney. He's worried because he's here on a work visa from India.
Work visa. Wow. Wonder if he got the job at Disney because of something other than qualifications.
He thought he was coming to have sex with 2 ladies. Surprise. Once again, undercover detectives. Then there's Ralph Leese. He's 45. He lives in Winter Garden. He's an IT employee for Disney. He's been there about 4 years.
You get computer guys doing computer crimes, because this is kind of computer crime, because you're using computers, communication between the internet, FCC, airways, phones, etc. You get guys who are computer savvy, savvy, it's a lot harder to catch them because they could have some anti-tracking. They can maybe find out. I mean, we always try to hide our IP address, and we would get, we'd always get AT&T or whatever to make it look like we're calling from here when we're calling from here, or, so we can play a little bit, but you get somebody really savvy, they may be able to pick up that.
And he's married. So I'm sure Disney's not pleased. I bet his wife's not pleased, but we're pleased that we arrested him.
Another issue with IT guys is if I go to a store to break in and I bring my bag of tools, my crowbar, my bolt cutters, my glass cutter, my hammer to knock the glass out. If I bring a bag of tools to a place, I'm charged with possession of burglary tools. These guys commit computer crimes on a computer, and there's no enhancement for using their burglary tool, which is this, to try and commit a crime.
I'm going to tell you about a trafficker. And normally when we arrest traffickers at the Undercover site, it's a male. Let me introduce you to Tiffany Nash.
Oh no, a female doctor. Damn, not only are we losing doctors, we got a female doctor?
She was the trafficker of a young lady. Tiffany's 32 years of age. Why she's not been busy committing crime? Because she has 61 previous criminal charges.
61 arrests. People always tell me I'm full of shit. Rick, you never arrested anybody with a 27-page rap sheet. I'm telling you, everybody I arrested had several pages of prior arrest. Our system doesn't work. The criminals know it, so they don't care. The only people that care about getting arrested are the people like you and me who have jobs, who are working, who pay taxes, and then when we go to jail, it costs us our job, our home. We're not used to being leeches on a system to where we get this aid and this food stamps and this EDB card. We're not used to living off the system because most of these people live off the system and they supplement their income with their crimes. So they don't care if they go to jail. They don't lose anything. This girl, I think, works at Kentucky Fried Chicken, though.
41 of them felonies and 20 as misdemeanors. She's the manager of the Kentucky Fried Chicken in Orlando.
Oh, shit. Damn, we lost a good manager to KFC. Damn.
Now, I just don't believe I'd want any finger-licking good chicken that she touched. Just saying. What she does is she would set up the deal.
This chief wasn't impressed.
And then
I
she would force this young lady, this victim, to come along. This deal was for $300. If this lady were lucky, she would get $20. So the lady, the victim, Ubered over, followed by Tiffany.
Okay, so he didn't explain this real well, because when I heard this, I was kind of like, what are you talking about? So what he's saying is this woman finds other girls, says, I'll give you $20. I'll set up to where you go have sex. She's basically a modern day pimp. And I think instead of calling him a pimp, they call him a human trafficker. So she gets these women and kind of threatens them and manipulates them into doing something. But Rick, she's a woman and she's abusing women, and women are all great and empowered. Yeah, okay, whatever. Women and men, it doesn't matter whether sex, color, what bathroom you use. Everybody can be a criminal.
To make sure that the deal went right, and Tiffany got her money. As soon as we took the victim down, ostensibly for an arrest, this wonderful team determined she's a victim. So she's not criminally charged, and she's not up here on this board because she's immediately turned over and treated as a victim, not a criminal suspect.
So this other girl, let me explain the law to you. This girl that this girl was bringing and giving her $20 made a deal that I will sell my body. If you give me $20, I'll go somewhere and let him have sex with me. That was a private deal. They both committed a crime, but now the woman is a victim. Why? Because they're going to make her the bad guy. If he was a male, it'd be the male bad guy, but they don't want women who are prostituting having criminal. It used to be, you arrest a prostitute, she's got 47 prior arrests. It's like no big deal. Nobody goes to jail for prostitution. You hook them, they pay a fine, they're out on the streets within a few hours, and they're back there walking the streets hooking again. I mean, it's just the way it is. So, again, prostitution laws to me is a huge waste of time. And, I know some people are going to say, Rick, it leads to everything leads to other crimes. All crime leads to other crime. We just make everything illegal and lock everybody up in our house so we don't have it leading to other crime. That's just a bullshit excuse to me.
Suspect in an event. So Tiffany's been charged with human trafficking, deriving proceeds, possession of cocaine, possession of meth, possession.
She's got meth and cocaine and setting up this girl, and she's making your chicken at KFC. Damn. Where do they find these people? What kind of background they do at KFC? Shit, she ought to be a cop.
Of paraphernalia. And guess what? She's not managing the Kentucky Fried Chicken place today. She's in our county jail. And we don't serve finger-licking good chicken there. The victim has been turned over for services. 66 years old. He thought he was coming for a girlfriend experience.
Okay, so this guy, look, he was just meeting a prostitute. He's 66 years old. He don't want to deal with women. He's just like, you know what? If I could pay some woman $100, go have sex. We go our separate ways. There's no alimony. There's no child support. We're both adults. What's the freaking problem? But because he's a prior judge, he wants to loop him into this big Disney human trafficking when basically this guy just wanted to go have sex with somebody. So to me, again, bullshit. Meanwhile, he gets arrested, and the girl that called him and made a deal and that he was meeting, she gets a victim. She doesn't get charged.
Kind of a date. He went on an escort site. Oh, can I show you the other picture of Daniel Peters? This is the Honorable Daniel Peters, who is a retired judge from Cook County.
But Rick, he's a judge. They don't commit crimes. I mean, that's almost like being a doctor. Yeah, whatever.
Illinois, or the dishonorable Judge Peters from Cook County, Illinois. And when we were doing our follow-up investigation to validate all of this, what did we find out? He also retired from the Cook County Sheriff's Office, according to him. That's right, in the Office of Professional Regulations. As my old daddy would have said, that's a known fact. Ask him today, so which side do you like best? Now that you have been the prosecutor, you've been the judge, you've been at the state attorney's office, and now you're the defendant. So we locked him up in the county jail. He says he lives in Palos Hills, Illinois. He requested an attorney.
He requested an attorney. How many times I told you people, don't talk to the cops. He's a judge. He's a lawyer. What did he do? He requested an attorney. Shocking. I tell you people, don't talk to the cops. Period. Not to help. Ever, never. It will come back and bite you. You will be subpoenaed in court. You can be turned into a criminal if you don't show up to court. If you change your story, you can be charged with lying. Don't talk to government. They are your enemy. Rick, there's good cops out there and you're making it harder for it. Yeah, I'm not making shit harder. Our system is trash and pesky citizens are the enemy. You guys who are enforcing that shit made the system bad.
Well, Judge, you need an attorney. You got problems. He went to the jail. Richard Jackson, he thought he was coming for sex. This guy wouldn't be particularly interesting out of the group. He lives in Orlando, but he worked at a family amusement park called the Fun Spot, around children, around a lot of people. So we thought it's worthy to.
So this guy, I think, is getting a bad rap. I think he didn't say he was going to meet a minor. He was just going to pay a girl to have sex. So you notice that he's kind of sliding all this slippery slope in to make a simple transaction between two consenting adults into this sex trafficking, and he works around kids. And you know what? Catholic priests worked around kids. You don't see him running around with them. They all got civil agreements. Hardly anybody went to jail in a big Catholic priest freaking across the country scandal of abusing children. But this guy pays another adult to have sex, and now he's getting flashed here like he's in a child predator. This guy, I think, got a bullshit rap, just like the judge did.
For people to know, if you go to the Fun Spot, if they still employ him, you need to know that he will do illegal things for money.
Illegal things. He'll pay a prostitute to have sex. Therefore, he's a bad guy. He's not out there raping women. He's not out there trying to trick women that I love you and I'll marry you. He's not out there, praying at a school ground picking up kids. He paid a consenting adult to have sex. They made a mutual agreement, and nobody was hurt. And now he's in the system. To me, that's kind of bullshit.
And then there's Nelson Cruz. You know, we got this thing going with food restaurants. He is a manager of a restaurant as well, Cracker Barrel in Altamont Springs.
Damn, Cracker Barrel. I can't even eat there. Look, man, as a cop, anytime we ate somewhere, we always checked on the cook and kind of found out if he was known, who knew him, where he's from. I'm not saying we ran a criminal history on him, but you got to make sure that he's kind of not anti-cop, or he's not, oh, these cops arrested me and put me in prison. I'll put a little special, extra special something, a little shit in their food. So that's the problem when you go as a cop to eat in a public restaurant. Not only now, cops have screwed the pooch to where good people don't even like their freaking lying ass. They're shooting everybody. They're in fear of my life ass. Now they got everybody hating them. It used to just be that bad guys hated us. I was okay with it.
He's married. He's worried as well because he's here on a work visa from Honduras.
Damn, another manager on a work visa. That's amazing. Come all the way across the country. Come to great America so I can get a work visa. Be a manager.
Sex. Now, he lives in our county, but obviously he hasn't got the message yet. You know why he said he did this? Are you ready for this? He had an argument with his wife. So he decided that I'll just go have an event with a prostitute.
Big freaking deal. How is that the government's business? So what? He had an argument with his wife. He's an adult. He met some girl who was going to pay. That's big. What are you trying to say? That there ought to be a law now that, we need to enforce marriage laws now? It's just bullshit. And this is what kind of pissed me off about this thing here, because a lot of people are like, man, look at all the people they arrested in this child trafficking. This was a prostitute sting where a couple guys went out, wanted to have sex for money, and they had 2 consenting adults. To me, they didn't even really commit any freaking crime. In my book.
I bet his wife's not happy. I'm just guessing. He's arrested. And we don't serve Cracker Barrel at the jail, so he won't have to worry about seeing James Compton. He's 42. He's a graphic designer. He wanted to have all kinds of sex, and he wouldn't be particularly interested, except for the fact his 17-year-old son was refereeing a youth soccer game across the street. Hey, I guess he just got tired, right? Let's see. My son's refereeing this.
So here we have a guy, goes to his kid's game. His kid's playing a game. Game's either slow or whatever. Didn't say he was married, wasn't cheating on his wife, ran into a prostitute, went to have sex while his kid's playing. Who the hell is he hurting? I mean, what? Should we now make it a law that parents have to be at their kids' games, and if they go do anything, especially if they go across the street and maybe have a drink, or they bring beer to the game, oh my God, they're irresponsible, they're mean, bad people because they drank beer at their kids' game. To me, I know I'm going to get some hate on this because people are like, man, Rick, I can't believe you're a cop. That's prostitution. It's against the law. There's a lot of bad laws out there, people.
Youth soccer tournament, I don't have anything to do. I think I'll go across the street and have sex with a prostitute. There's your all-American dad. So he has a criminal history back in 1998 for lewd battery.
1998, battery. Wow. Man, he's just out there tearing up the streets. We're releasing people who bring guns. Remember the black kid that brought a gun to school and shot 2 people and they let him out on bail for $10,000 and he had a whole bunch of criminal history, but it was when he was juvenile, so it doesn't count? Remember that? This guy had a case in 1998. Man, and he just made a transaction between another consenting adult to have sex, and he's a bad guy.
So the night's wrapping down. We have a...
This is actually a funny story. I know this is going long, but this is a pretty funny story about this idiot. This guy gets the freaking dumb shit award.
Arrested this child predator who resists us and runs, so we have to tase him. And as is our protocol, when you tase someone, you have an ambulance run an EKG strip to make...
Can you imagine that? Not only are tasers ineffective, not only do they never fucking work, not only do we have freaking women out there every day pulling their gun thinking it's a taser and killing people, now when you tase somebody, you have to call the big red truck, the fire department, the ambulance, and they have to do an EKG on them. This is every time they use a taser. How much money and justification for more government? And we need more ambulance because every time we tase somebody, the ambulances are tired up doing DKGs. We need more hospitals. There's a hospital shortage. Oh my God, everybody needs to wear a mask.
Make sure everything's all right. So we have to call an ambulance to the scene and a fire truck shows up. We've got another undercover deal, cooking. So our undercover people...
And then the big red truck came.
Try to blow off the deal. Hey, we'll do it tomorrow. Here's the deal. There was a guy by the name of Seth Phillips and Christina Garrett.
Okay, this is the guy. This is a pretty funny story, okay? This is a good crazy cop story. This guy's an idiot, but whatever. He's a thug. He's a criminal. He's a street thug. He believes in his turf, his way. He's straight up. He doesn't play freaking games, and he backs up what he says. I kind of like the guy. There's a part of me that likes the guy a little bit.
I mean, from Bradenton. Christina is Seth's girlfriend. Follow this now. Coming from Bradenton, where they're to be paid $1,000 to have sex with two undercover people. They think.
Okay, so they both adults, and they think they're going to have sex with two consenting adults, and they make agreement to do this for $1,000. So far, I'm okay.
This is going to be $1,000 in their pocket. They're going to have sex. It's going to be a great evening.
That sounds like great eating. I'd love to go out and have $1,000 in my pocket and have sex. What? How is that not a good evening? Rick, it's not fair, and women are victims, and you're just taking advantage. What?
However, Seth left his wife at home while he shows up with his girlfriend.
Okay, so let's disparage him because he's cheating on his wife. Okay, he's a wife cheater. He's not a great guy. I get it.
So he gets in the area. We have the guy resist. Now we got to have the fire trucks there and the ambulance and the EKG strips. So we text, our undercovers text and say, hey, the cops are here. Told him the truth. Ambulance is here. Fire trucks here. We'll do it tomorrow night.
Okay, so he didn't explain that real good. So what happens is they're at a house. They set this guy up to meet him. But then because another guy resisted and they had to call the fire truck and all the ambulance, it kind of blew the scene. Now anybody that's a little paranoid about showing up is probably going to get spooked and won't show up. So they shut down the operation and said, let's let the neighborhood calm down. I mean, you wouldn't try to do a sting and a shooting happens out front and you have a crime scene and 50 cops there and you're trying to get a guy to come next door. It just wouldn't work. So they canceled. They tried to... This guy kills me. They try to tell him, dude, man, the cops are here and everything, which is great for their story because later when they call him back, he's going to be like, man, these guys are cool because the cops showed up. They expected him to go, it's cool, man. I don't want to go there with all the cops, fire department anyway. So as an undercover, these guys were doing the right thing here and they're building credibility.
Seth, who's a former Marine and a Lyft driver.
Former Marine? Oh, no. That's probably why he's got all that testosterone. That's probably why he's got that mean, masculine kind of, mean what I say and say what I mean. Man! See, that's kind of, I think, the little part that I like about him is he may be a criminal, but he's a straight-up criminal. I've always said, I've put a lot of felons in jail that have so much more ethics, credibility, and good standing in my book than most of the DAs and judges and lawyers that I've worked with. But I digress.
Is not happy. So here's what he says. I'm mad. I've come all the way over here for $1,000 and now you're blowing me off.
This is, man, I'm telling you, man, these cops on the other line that were talking to him was just like, what the fuck? We just tried to cancel to save him because there's cops everywhere and he still wants to come. I guarantee you those cops were looking around the room because usually a bunch of cops, they're probably like, what the okay, man, it's cool, man. I just, here's how that conversation went. Dude, man, there's cops everywhere. We need to make this another time. Hey, man, fuck you. I just drove all this way. You owe me motherfucking money. Dude, man, there's fire trucks and everything. We can't do this. All they did is make it even better case for him. This is freaking great.
You are going to pay me $100 for the ball of meth. You are going to pay me $500 for the cancellation. If not...
This guy's got a cancellation fee. I like this guy.
You better have a lot of friends with guns and a chopper. You'll sleep well if you pay knowing that the boogeyman won't come.
Okay, so this guy's just straight up gangster. I mean, look, even though he's a criminal, he's a crook, and he may be out there intimidating people, again, I gotta have a little respect for him because he is what he is. He doesn't try to hide. He's not gonna lie. He's not some weasel like, oh man, that the cops are there. I'm really scared, man. Thanks for telling me. I just want to. He's not a freaking pussy, and that's what I like about him. But I know I'm gonna get some hate because I like a criminal. But whatever.
And then he continued to threaten. And guess what? He showed up. That's right. The ambulance had cleared out. Fire trucks had cleared out. We'd shut the operation down for the night. The detectives were in the house when they noticed on the camera, a car pulls up. This guy gets out of the car along with Christina. He does not walk to the house. He sprints to the house, gun in hand.
I love this dude. He's like, oh, hell no. I'm getting my motherfucking cancellation fee. You cancel on me and make me drive? Fuck that. And he grabs a gun and runs to the fucking house. See, I like this guy. I don't want to kill him. If I was a cop, man, when I took him in cuss, I was like, dude, you got some balls, I'll give you that. You ain't fucking playing, you're the real deal. And I can respect that. I mean, I'm telling you, people may not understand why I like this guy, but I do. A fucking $500 cancellation fee. I'm bringing my motherfucking gun. It's go time.
You see where this is going. So our detectives, who are simply the very best, they say to themselves, self, we think we ought to have a gun.
I haven't heard somebody use that in a long time. We used to say that all the time. When I was teaching, I would say that. And sometimes when I was teaching, I'd say we call that a clue. I'd also kind of, the other phrase that I would use is like, at this point, I looked at myself and said, self, I think something's wrong here. Something isn't right. So you refer to yourself as, that's the first time I've heard somebody say that on TV. It was pretty funny when he said that. I was laughing.
Detectives, who are simply the very best, they say to themselves, self, we think we ought to have a gun, since this guy has just arrived, gun in hand. We open the door with 4 of our guys with guns, and he's got a gun above his head.
Okay, so I got to give the cops credit here. A lot of pussy-ass cops would have shot and killed him. He had a gun. Fuck it. He came to the door. We've got conversations that he was going to kill. You better have friends, blah, blah. He came to shoot. As soon as they opened the door, I think if they had filled him full of holes, it would have been absolute. I'm not saying it would have been justified. I'm saying the courts and the process would have cleared them, and they'd have been good. So they could have shot and killed this dude with no fear of anything, and they didn't. Even when he drops the gun, they don't shoot him. Girlfriend jumps in front of him, which is kind of, man, that's a good girlfriend. I mean, I don't know if his wife would have jumped in front of him, but girlfriend jumped in front of his ass and saved his ass. That's a good girlfriend. Rick, he used her and she's a victim. All right, whatever.
He's coming down with his gun. Christina saves his life by jumping in front of him. He puts the gun in his waistband, so we don't know if he's bringing it down to point it at us or he's counting 4 guns and he brings it down to put. It is that close to a shooting. Microseconds. We take him into custody. He's charged.
I thought he said girlfriend jumped in front of him. Did that?
The gun in his waistband, so we don't know if he's bringing it down to point it at us or he's counting 4 guns and he brings it down to put. It is that close to a shooting. Microseconds. We take him into custody. He's charged with 4 counts of aggravated assault with a firearm, attempted robbery.
See, so they charge him with 4 counts of aggravated assault because he showed up with a gun and there was 4 cops inside. If there'd have been 6 cops inside, he'd have got 6 counts of aggravated robbery or aggravated assault, whatever they're charging him with. That's kind of bullshit to me. Yeah, he came with a gun. He should get a charge of aggravated assault. But to give him 4 counts of aggravated assault because there's 4 cops inside that he didn't know, I think that's kind of bullshit. But whatever. People are going to say, man, you just like him because he's a Marine. I don't like him just because he's a Marine.
Possession of meth. Extortion by threat.
So he does this while he's carrying meth. Damn.
Christina's charged with prostitution and possession of heroin.
She's got heroin, he's got meth. You got one downer and one upper. I don't know how they stay together, but that's a tough match.
And he made the statement during the interview. He became totally cooperative at this point and said, you would have been right to shoot me.
See, he's saying he made this statement like he's a dumbass. This guy is just one of the felons, the hardcore felons that I arrested. They were up front like that. It was like, man, it's cool. I mean, you got your job to do. I got mine to do. I am who I am, and everything's cool. I like those guys. Even though they were thugs and criminals, they usually only prey on other criminals. They're selling to other criminals. They're doing robberies on it. I didn't like the people that preyed on innocent people. Though I didn't like those guys.
Well, I appreciate his understanding of the gravity of the situation. But because our detectives did exactly what was right, and because Christina got in the way, and she gets credit as well for him being alive today, because this was a very tough situation. I'm going to turn the podium over.
Okay, so now they talked to a bunch of other people, all the chiefs. everybody gets up there and talks about how great everybody else is. Everybody's wonderful. We all love each other. This girl's talking about everybody's a poor victim. You know, you get these bleeding heart people like her that everybody's a victim. All the women, she's a woman advocate. All men are mean and all women are poor victims. These women that run those places are kind of disgusting and they're kind of a pain in the ass because they're so. I remember going to a place and I needed to contact this girl because I was trying to help her, and they would not tell me where she was at because I was a male, and no males are allowed at the facility. And I'm like, I need to show her this picture, or I can't remember what it was. Either I had to line up, or I wanted to pick something out, or there was something that I needed to talk to her. And this freaking woman was just typical man hater, looking at me with disdain. You're a man, and we don't give men there. I don't care who you are. You're not. I'm not giving you the address, and you can't get it. But it was I just hate those women. Anyway, I digress. 45 minutes. Great little video. Good hooks. I think it needs to be cleared up a little bit because most people just watch this video and will think something different than if they watch me explaining what's really going on. All right? And I'm not saying I'm super smart and all that. I'm just trying to give you a little insight on kind of what's going on. We'll end that there.